My name is Steve Marks. I'm the Executive Director of the Oregon Liquor Control Commission. It's been a great opportunity for us to really convey information, but then to hear from, the participants that come to the conference. And I think, this one I really drew a lot because we were talking fairly provocatively about cannabis regulation coming in as sort of a one plant, one system fold. And I was surprised at the amount of well reception for that notion, and I thought maybe there would be more active resistance there, because the hemp side has been less regulated than certainly marijuana and the THC license side of cannabis production, and it surprised me and hardens me because I think that means we're kind of beginning to find the right track. Not explicitly, right? We don't regulate hemp. We don't regulate, we do cannabis CBDs, and we do regulate hemp when it comes into our highly regulated system, but we don't really regulate its growing. We don't regulate its free access to the market otherwise. So the way it really touches us is on, everything about hemp products and marijuana products. They look alike, they look the same. You can't distinguish them in the marketplace other than what they say on the package and label, and some come to the consumers through the normal marketplace, and you don't know what those products are for sure. In Oregon, I think we grow good products. I think we have a lot of the certificate of analysis testing that ought to be there for those products produced and manufactured in Oregon, but there's a lot more CBD products in Oregon that aren't from Oregon. And then in our system, it's confounding when you have two things that are alike and treated differently in the marketplace, where ours are limited access, highly tested, highly regimented, and controlled from point to point to point within the system from production to retail. Yes. Yes, and there's public policy going through that we're working with legislators and others to try to perfect their ideas on. There's certainly hemp legislation that looks at, I think the exciting part is the Commodities Commission, but also tailoring state legislation towards the Farm Bill and the planning that needs to go there. There's hopefully it'll be maybe omnibus legislation. There may be first tracking sort of development for hemp may come out of legislation as an amendment. We may get additional authorities over medical grows in Oregon, the 13 plants and above, to not just do the metric inspections, but also for any violations we see to process those violations. Right now those go to OHA. Their money and funding is collapsing because they don't have a robust program. There's not as many cardholders. It's dropped dramatically in recent years. So there might be a role for OLCC to fulfill there. Safe harbor is a concept actually. Rick Garza in Washington, who's at the conference here, and you got on tape here that they'll see, they just dealt with trying to put in place sort of a safe harbor notion and regulation. I've always thought that was a great idea for our system. I think we're finally mature enough around our understanding that, it's not going to apply to the major violation, not diversion, not if you're selling to minors. Those things are always, anthem in our system. But for all that, things that are procedural about how you do processes to meet our requirements for metric tracking, all that can be potentially put in fix-it tickets where you say, you don't have this right, you got 30 days, we'll be back, we'll take a look, fix it, fix your process, that'll work for us, or 60 days or 90 days maybe. We'll have to put rules together around all that. But then we won't have to write a violation and fix it. So that'd be great. If you don't fix it, we'll write the violation then and it'll proceed through it. So it should change the flow of work in our agency, and I think make it a better, more constructive relationship between OLCC and its licensees, where licensees are willing to pick up the phone and say, hey, can you come and give us some assistance to make sure that our operations operating compliantly? And I think that'll be great. So the best way to get a hold of us, if you generically come in, marijuana@oregon.gov, you can get right in. We review that site, that email box regularly, so that gets within our system and allows us to actually be very responsive. But, certainly people send those emails to me. I make sure they get to our staff. We've got an incredible staff. Amanda Borup leads the policy sort of marijuana advisor role, helps us coordinate with other agencies. So we got a lot of resources to draw on to get through to us. In licensing, it's a little different. Those are for policy questions, but you can run your licensing questions through that site. Any question about marijuana through marijuana.oregon.gov. Yeah, no, we have great relationships with the statewide organizations around cannabis. There's, been sort of a consolidation around a few. They're not as broad or as maybe small as they used to be. But we're in regular touch, and I really appreciate, like, if you notice in Orca, they have a good following of OLCC. Our communications staff works with them a lot to make sure that they're fully informed of sort of our activities, our timelines, what we're up to, and I think they do a really good job for the state. I've been excited to see them keeping people involved in our activities.